Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, April 3rd, 2019. I am the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Zach, and on the panel this week, my good pal, the Duke.
Yeah.
Dave Handy, still on his Middle East vacation in the country of Lebanon, and he'll be back next week, and I'm sure I'll get a nice travel log.
Yeah, that'll be fun to hear about that.
And of course, you'll do your yearly Southern sojourn down to Savannah.
And lucky, down the Hilton Head, Savannah area, and lucky me, I'll catch, as I mentioned, day 2 of the Masters.
Incredible.
I don't have a ticket in hand, but Jennifer's cousin Betsy assures me I'll be there, and I take her at her word.
So you'll be there a week from
Friday.
Yeah, good for you.
Masters starts a week from tomorrow. I guess what the tourney this week is the Valero Open. I think it's in Texas again.
Yes, it is. Yeah, and I'm not sure how many of the premier players are playing in that.
Yeah, probably I wouldn't think it'd be the strongest field. And of course I'll catch the Heritage Golf Tourney in Hilton Head the following week, all 4 days presumably.
Yeah.
With the famous facsimile lighthouse behind the 18th green, but
yeah,
it's a beautiful.
Now let me ask you
something.
And I know you're in really good shape, but you're not a spring chicken anymore.
You're right
do
about that.
Do you get tired standing during these golf
really.
tournaments? I'm assuming you're there for a full 8 hours.
Yeah, I mean, probably get over, 9 or 10. Yeah, I'm probably on the course for typically 6-7 hours. Yeah, I mean, I'll sit down once in a while just on some of the greens when you have like a little slope or something. But I probably do, a good 5 miles walking anyway, maybe even closer to 5 plus.
Now,
and I usually bike over there. It's a half-hour bike ride. So it's a good exercise day. I will acknowledge that I would never spend a cent on the course for a beer. I mean, and the prices aren't crazy there. But afterward, there's a nice where the marina is. It's about a 5-minute walk from the course, and it's kind of a party. There's always music there, and of course there are obviously bars. And again, I'm smart enough not to spend probably $7 on a draft at the bars. But guess what? There's a convenience store that's all of like 2 minutes around the corner.
Okay.
And I'll go and have
Frosty
treat myself to a 24-ounce Frosty for probably $3.
And what town is the Heritage Open in?
It's in Hilton Head
okay.
Island.
Jeez.
It's on kind of the direction wise.
So what do? You rent a bike and just drive to the?
Yeah, I've had the same place. I just looked into this before. I think even before the golf tourney came up, or maybe it was hooked into the golf. I think before the golf tourney, I had stumbled on Hilton Head maybe a time or two, and just looking at prices for a place. I'll always try to get a place on the beach.
Yep.
And I just got an oceanfront condo, and as it happened, the location's perfect for the golf.
Yeah.
I'm like 5 minutes from one of the gates, and I get in free. If you just go, this is Sea Pines. Kind of the most exclusive, for lack of a better word. I mean, the whole island is fairly upper crusty, a lot of gated communities. But I'm just about 5 minutes from the gate into Sea Pines. With my golf pass, I get in for free. Don't have to pay anything to get in there. And it's just a nice half-hour bike ride. And I just, there's on the tennis courts is where the bikes pull in. But anyway, it's
I'm
really
confused.
Convenient for
How do you get
tourney.
a free golf pass to the Heritage?
Sorry, not a free golf pass. It's free to get into Sea Pines. On ordinary, that's, like I said, kind of the most exclusive part of the island.
Okay.
And you can go in there. It's a great biking place.
Okay.
But you have to pay like $5
to park
to go
your bike?
in, just to go in.
Okay.
If you're not staying there. Anyway, if you have a golf pass, you don't get hit with that $5. Oh no, I'm paying for the golf. About $150, $160
for 4 days?
A grounds pass for the whole tourney.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, it's a steal.
That's a good deal.
But as it happened, just a nice place I stay is just like, very convenient to get into the golf course. There's even a shuttle bus, 5-minute walk away if I don't feel like biking.
Wow. But that's going to be pretty exciting knowing that you will be in Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Watching the Masters in 8.5 days from now. That's
that'll be cool.
really,
First time since I was there with my great late friend Bill Moore in 2001.
Yep, because you brought me back and I still have it in my golf bag.
A golf marker or something?
2001 Masters ball marker.
Well, you're a better person than me. I probably had that somewhere, but I don't know where.
Yeah, no, I do cherish that. So Duke, and let's get some phone calls here, 888-5315 to be on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. So I just want to start with hockey. Usually we talk about it towards the end of the show, but I just want to tell you this.
Hey, good win for your guys.
When I was on the show last week, I said the game of the year tomorrow night, which it was. The Habs went through kind of a 500 period for about a month.
Bruins have been doing the
kind of
same.
slid. Yeah. And so we were playing Columbus, a team that were fighting for the final two spots.
You're talking the game last night.
Last Thursday, I'm talking about.
Last Thursday.
We laid an egg. We've been winning of late, but that was a full 4-point swing.
Oh, I'm sorry. You beat the good guys.
Yeah. So we lay an egg.
We lose
6-2.
Wow.
Then we go play Winnipeg out there, one of the top teams in the West, beat them. We played Tampa. Listen to.
As in last night.
Last night at the Bell Center. Tampa has got 124 points, one of the greatest seasons ever in the NHL history. Yeah. They have 60 wins. The only team in the salary cap period, whatever, that's got 60 wins. They're just an incredible team. Great goaltending.
Yeah.
I think it's Kucherov. He's got 128 points this year. Just a terrific team. While the Habs, I mean, they're playing for their life. Yeah. And I'll tell you,
the Habs had to get 2 points last night. And just hoping that might get them in.
Yeah, and we beat them by 2 goals last night.
And outshot them like, 44-20 something or something?
And they had their third string goaltender because their number one guy, the Russian goalie, which I can't remember the name, but the guy's really good. Yeah. He played the night before in Ottawa, and they won't play him back to back. Do we have a call? No. So the backup goaltender was injured. So
really,
the goalie we played against,
that was a break.
Something like Eddie Pasquale was his name.
Oh, really?
Spent 9 years in the minor leagues. He was a 4th-round pick in 2009, and technically not sound, but he made incredible saves all night long before the Canadiens finally broke through. But as we stand, and this might be my last opportunity to wear Canadiens garb because our season could be done in about 72 hours.
Yeah. So the Habs not only have to get every point they can, they've got to have some teams losing.
Yeah.
Also.
So here's the deal. 2 games left, and we have 94 points. Columbus has 94 points. Yeah. However, they hold the tiebreaker.
Wow.
Carolina.
Even games in hand with Columbus?
Yes. Yeah. Everybody's at 80. Okay. Carolina's got 95 points. So somehow we've got to win. We've got easy schedule here the next 2 games. Down in Washington, in D.C. against Alex Ovechkin, who, my humble opinion, one of the most underrated players of all time. Another 50-goal season for this guy in a league that's extremely difficult to score goals. Yeah. So we have that difficult task. Yeah. Then we play Toronto Saturday night. I believe that is home in the Bell Center. Yeah. Now, Toronto's out of it. I mean, I shouldn't say out of it. They already know what they're doing. They're going to be on the road first round at the TD Garden in Boston against the Bruins. Now,
Bruins have secured home ice, correct?
Oh, yeah. They're 6 points.
Well, but they got a good win.
Good win. They're 6 points above the Leafs. But it's a Toronto-Montreal thing. Toronto's not going to lay over for Montreal. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. And, not only that, I would think they'd want to end the season on a winning note to, just get a good jump on the playoffs. So the Canadiens obviously need those 2 wins, and we need some help, with Carolina or Columbus losing. Yeah. Now, if the Canadiens get the 8th and final spot, of course, we'll be playing Tampa. Now, the chances of winning, that is pretty close to impossible. Now, Carey Price has been great since the first of the year. Yeah. Is he good enough to steal a game by himself? Absolutely. Sure. For me, if we could beat Tampa 2 games, that would almost be like winning the Stanley Cup. Yeah. What I want to see from Montreal is just make it back in the playoffs, get some playoff experience. Yeah. We are a young team, and I think Montreal will be that much better. Now, if Montreal does in fact win the 2 games ends up with 98 points.
Yeah.
That'll be the most points ever in the NHL achieved
for a non-playoff team
without making the playoffs. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we know the matchups in the Eastern Conference first round. It's going to be Toronto at Boston, Pittsburgh at New York, more than likely Carolina at Washington. At this point, Columbus at Tampa. In the West, it's going to be St. Louis at Nashville, Vegas at San Jose, Colorado at Winnipeg, and Dallas at Calgary.
Hawk, I think I mentioned this last weekend. I think you didn't believe me. I swear I read it again. If the Bruins beat Toronto, and assuming Tampa Bay wins their first round, I swear I've read in Boston papers that the Bruins would get Tampa Bay in the second round.
Now, you may very well be correct.
And in the same story, they're saying because of the insane way they're seeding or whatever, but I swear I've read that a couple times.
You may very well be correct. I'm just assuming,
insane if that's
right?
the case.
And I'm not going right. You're probably right. I was just assuming they would reseed after the first round, with Tampa obviously being 1, Boston being 2.
I think I've read that twice.
But you could very well be right.
Assuming Boston's still hanging around.
And there's been a lot of chatter this past month, the unfairness of
that's
the
insane.
Eastern Conference. The second best team in the Eastern Conference is Boston.
Yeah.
The third best team is Toronto, and they have to go head-to-head in the first round.
Yeah.
So there is some indication that they would like to make some changes in the future because, quite frankly, that just is not right.
Yeah.
Just being penalized for having a good season.
Hey, I happened to be watching CTV last night. I usually watch the 11:30 to 12 midnight news from Montreal.
I was watching last night. The weather lady is so beautiful.
She's got Lori Grant.
Lori Grant, and she's probably 55 years old.
Boy, she is. She's extremely well preserved.
Very lovely.
Has a great TV presence. But as you noted, I guess they did actually. I don't know the reporter's name, but a young lady was down at the Bell Center.
I saw that.
They gave the Habs game pretty good attention.
Yep,
last
they
night.
did. It's just, and again, it's just. Listen, I'd rather be in the position of the Boston Bruins, but when you're fighting for your playoff life, and every game is a matter of life and death, it has been so exciting the past month.
And this season, aren't you? I mean, before season, didn't you have about zero hope of making the playoffs?
You would be correct, and I told you, and again, I've told this story before. You asked me on the golf course a couple weeks before the season started in September. You said, "Hey, Hawk, how the Habs going to do this season?" I said, "Oh, Duke, no, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. No chance, and don't even think about it in the following season."
So what happened? Carey Price has had an excellent his excellent.
I would say part of the reason if we don't make it is because we did not have a backup goaltender. I think Carey Price has played 28 out of the last 29 games.
I can't believe that's unbelievable.
Because we re-signed Antti Nieminen, or Nima, whatever his name is. He's 37 years old. Won a cup with the Hawks about 10 years ago. But he came in, he signed during the season with Montreal. When Carey Price went down with an injury, he actually played really well. So they re-signed him to a 1-year contract, and he really stunk. And I've been telling you all season, the most quiet, best move all season in the free agent market were the Bruins signing Yaroslav Halak. The guy's got a goal against average around 2.25, 9 goals saved around 9.23, I think. The guy's been unbelievable. He gives Tuukka Rask a little push. He'll be playing tomorrow night, or not tonight. They may be playing tonight. But you need a backup goaltender in the NHL. I can assure you the Habs, come July 1st, when the free agent market opens up, they'll be looking, because they really, at this point, don't have anybody. Now, they do have one body, Duke. He played for Northeastern.
Bruins aren't playing tonight.
Tomorrow night. Camden Primo from Northeastern.
Oh, yeah?
He just signed a contract yesterday with Montreal, so he didn't finish out his college career with Northeastern. He was like a 4th-round pick, just kind of, we have to pick somebody. And the guy's been one of the best college goaltenders this year, just superb. So he might have a future, but...
Has Carey Price, has he complained? That's an incredible workload. Has he complained about that
what
at
they've
all?
done is they brought up a goaltender from their AHL team, the Laval Rockets, Charlie Lindgren, to practice. So Carey doesn't have to do much at practice right now. Wow. Maybe skate, loosen the hamstrings up a little bit.
That's incredible. I mean, nobody does that these days, do they?
No. And and
so it's been so kind of a bonus, pretty decent season for you.
And you look back on the big trade they had in the offseason when they traded Alex Galchenyuk to the Phoenix Coyotes.
Yeah.
When we remember Ty Domi, one of the all-time great fighters in hockey. Well, we got his kid Max Domi.
Oh yeah.
Well, all he's done for
22 goals.
20. He's got 28 goals for us this year, and really good skater, good playmaker. So again, the team is young. Unexpected success this year, and if Barry Trotz had not had such a great season, Claude Julien could be up for the Jack Adams Award as best coach. Now, I can't forget John Cooper, who currently sits with 124 points with the Lightning.
Oh, really?
But Barry Trotz, and when one of the best players in hockey, John Tavares, last summer signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, Duke, he's got 47 goals for the Leafs. And Lou Lamoriello has taken over management for the Islanders. If you remember, years ago, he was the GM president of the Devils.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3 Stanley Cups with them. Took over an extremely downtrodden Toronto Maple Leafs franchise, turned that team around. Then he took over the Islanders last year. Well, he said he wasn't being mean after Tavares took off to Toronto. That he said, look, we've never made it to the playoffs with Tavares.
Yeah.
So we really can't go backwards. And this team, I think, was the leading team of giving up goals last season. They tightened their defense right up this year, and they've got, where are they right here? 99 points, and like you said, they'll play Pittsburgh in the first round. They've had an incredible good season. Barry Trotz, of course, won the Stanley Cup last year with the Washington Capitals. Caps would not give him a raise, and hey, the guy's not stupid. I just won a cup, I'll be in hot demand. Islanders gave him what he wanted, and he showed his mettle here by having such an incredible season with the Islanders, which, by the way, remember they played at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn?
Right.
And just a horrible place to play hockey.
Like it's a decent basketball place, not a good hockey place. Aren't they going back to the island?
They're back in Nassau County Coliseum.
So did they run?
They refurbished the place.
Really?
And I'm not sure how many.
Were they back? Are they back there this year?
They are back this year.
Oh, really? So they're just in Brooklyn for like
couple
years?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And I don't know if they're building. Yeah. I don't know if they're building them a new arena on the island or
John Feinstein, the Dookie, the great tons of good sports. He's a huge Islanders fan for some reason.
Yeah. So
that's good. So they're back on the island.
Yep. So I'll be glued to my set.
Well, congratulations. No, it sounds like
it's been a good season. If we don't make it, I no hard feelings.
Well, the Bruins. I mean, I guess I give them a little advantage with home ice, but I don't give them a huge advantage against the Leafs. Leafs are a very good team. I'm hardly surprised.
I will say this:
Leafs win.
Exactly what I said at this date last year on this show, because the Bruins played the Leafs the first round. I went, and I love to run my mouth, and I'll throw some money out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bet a nickel on this series. Now, of course, the Bees were up 3-1 last year, and geez, this is rather easy. Toronto won the next 2 games, and then the hard-fought 7th game. Now, for whatever reason, of all sports, home ice or home field, whatever you want to call it, advantage doesn't matter as much in hockey as any other sport.
Yeah, the Bruins at times seem to do better away from home.
What Boston has better than Toronto is their goaltending is better.
Yeah.
And I know Toronto's got some snipers on the team, but we definitely have to give kudos to Brad Marchand.
Yeah. Good.
You know,
did he just get Player of the Month or something?
He just got to the century mark. He's got 36 goals.
Oh, is that right?
64 assists.
That's a pretty good year.
This guy is a rat, okay? Yeah. I mean, this guy, and he's built, or his style of play is built for playoff hockey. Yeah. So I don't see any...
it sounds like he's gotten away from some of the really stupid stuff he was doing.
But just a terrific player. So that actually might be the best series you will see the whole Stanley Cup playoffs.
Really.
Yeah, I really believe that.
Huh.
So, and of course, being a Montreal fan, I automatically hate Toronto. Of course, I hate Toronto that much more than I hate Boston. So I will be rooting for Boston.
And I think our first game's a week from tonight, Wednesday, April 10th.
I believe you're correct, yeah. Wow. And, getting back to Carey Price, there's so many off days during the playoffs that...
Although they don't go too crazy, isn't it pretty much every other day?
Right, they never have back-to-backs.
Right, but I think they don't usually get more than one day in between.
Yeah, right.
I mean, compared to basketball, this is a pretty serious playoff schedule.
And if you can sweep a team, which is tough, you get a plethora of days off, which sometimes actually may be bad for you.
Might not be good.
Yeah. So, but, good for the Bees, a really solid season.
Good.
In fact,
good team. Good team.
They're, I think, 103 points, 105, excuse me.
That's a pretty good year.
Third best record. The only team other than Lightning, Calgary's got 107 points. So
and Johnny Gaudreau having another excellent year.
Yeah, and that's the problem with Johnny Gaudreau. He's buried up in the hinterlands in the North Country, and you just don't hear about him. But definitely a top 10 player in the NHL.
With some kin, again, and Uncle live in Franklin.
Yeah. So Duke, baseball. The Nats,
Red Sox, not of course. The Nats got killed.
We'll get to the Red Sox, but they had a 105 game today.
Oh, yeah.
I know I'm very busy at work right now.
Still talking Philly, of course, right?
And me took some time off this afternoon, DVR'd the game, and got it ahead an hour so I could get through commercials, etc.
Yeah.
We were up 6-2, and
really,
the only question mark the Nats had, they have a good pitching staff, enough hitting, okay?
Yeah.
Their bullpen was questioned. Yeah. Now, let me throw this stat out at you. Trevor Rosenthal was one of the best relief pitchers in baseball for a number of years.
Yeah.
He missed the season last year. We got him at a bargain basement price of $7 million on a one-year contract.
Yeah.
We're really excited about getting this guy. Pitch formerly with St. Louis. Duke, he's had 3 appearances this season.
Killed.
For no outs in the 3 appearances.
Wow.
It's given up... I got 4 hits, 3 walks, and 7 runs.
Wow.
Okay? And the Nats
even worse ERA than the Red Sox starters.
Oh, yeah. And the Nats were up 6-2 today. Bullpen came in. Anibal Sanchez, former Red Sox farmhand, got hit in the leg on a screaming line drive. It was funny. Right leg, and the ball ricocheted right to his glove. He pitched a couple more innings, but his leg tightened up. So our vaunted, is that the word?
Yeah, vaunted's good.
Vaunted bullpen came in and gave up 6 runs. We're down 8-6. Now, keep in mind...
What inning?
6th inning.
Yeah.
And now, I know it's only April 3rd.
Yeah.
However, I get a little worried. And you know my saying, you can't win a pennant in April, but you sure can lose one.
Yeah.
Now, the Philadelphia Phillies were 4-0 going into this game. If they would have won...
The only undefeated team in the majors.
They would have been 5-0. We would have been 1-4, 4 games out.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, they have a guy in their team by the name of Bryce Harper, who I'll mention right now. After 5 games, Duke, he's hitting .500.
Wow.
He's been on base 8 straight times.
Wow.
Okay. Max Scherzer struck him out the first 2 times last night.
Yeah.
So he got last night no order, home run, double, and a single.
Wow.
Today he got 2 base hits and 3 walks. So I bet, I don't have his on-base average, so I bet he's up around 700. The guy's been incredible. And I'll tell you, Bryce Harper was a star with the Nats, but playing in that small ballpark and being the man
in Philadelphia. Obviously, D.C. is not the biggest baseball city in the world.
Right, exactly. Thank you. I agree. Thank you. They're an average
Philly
sports town.
If your team's doing well, it's going to be...
They're a Redskins town. That's a big football town. Philadelphia, next to Boston, maybe.
Yeah.
I would say Boston's the #1 sports town in the country. But Philly may be ranked second. They like their sports down there. So with that short ballpark, I think Harper is going to hit. He's got 2 home runs already.
You have no beef with the Nats about trying to keep Harper. I mean, they threw out a pretty decent contract.
Well, here's what happened. I read the Washington Post yesterday. Yeah. Their last game at home that they played, I remember the game well. It was a rain delay.
Last
home
season.
Game last season. Okay. So the ownership went to manager Dave Martinez's office. Says, Dave, we need to use your office. Excuse me. So they called Bryce Harper in his office. They handed him an envelope.
Wow.
And he says, Bryce, this is for you. Bryce goes, guys, I have a rest of the game to worry about here. This rain's going to stop, and I want to finish the ball game.
Yeah.
So after the game, he opened up the envelope.
This is a 10-year with $300 million.
The Lerner family wrote on there, 10 years, $300 million. Yeah. Bryce Harper says, well, that's a good starting point.
Is that right?
Now, the problem with that contract, according to him, Scott Burrows, is he would get $200 million, but the last $100 million was going to be deferred.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. Would he get deferred money, and I'm sure there was going to be interest on that, the value goes down a little bit. And he met with the Lerners on December 23rd.
Yeah.
And nothing got resolved.
Yeah.
And you got to keep in mind, the Lerners are about the richest owners in baseball. They're literally billionaires.
They didn't kick up the offer, do we know?
I'm not sure exactly what occurred during that meeting. I think he went to the home of the owner, Ted Lerner, who's 92 years of age, and Palm Springs, California.
Yeah.
So that did not get settled. His wife was saying, let's just get this taken care of today. But with Scott Boras being there, didn't get resolved. They literally did not talk after December 23rd for 2 months.
Why do you think? Because they thought they just had no hope to get him? Why wouldn't they have kept talking if they wanted him?
I think Scott Boras thought that was their second chance to give us a better offer. Yeah. Now, Philadelphia, being a downtrodden team for the last 5 years, and the owner said, we have stupid money to spend.
Yeah.
Well, that was stupid for him to say that in November because it put the onus on him that he better spend the money. Well, you had Manny Machado out there who signed a 10-year, $300 million contract with the Padres.
Wasn't it even more? Wasn't it $330 for Manny?
No, but $330 for Bryce. Right.
Sorry.
And Harper signed for 13 years at 13 for $330, which is a less per year average. So he got what he wanted with Philadelphia, and he even told Philadelphia, I'm not asking for any opt-outs. Okay, even like Steven Strasburg, when I didn't realize this till a couple weeks ago. Strasburg has an opt-out this year. Yeah. So he says, I'm committing myself to the city of Philadelphia. I'm going to move here. And Harper also said, unlike what people believe that I want to go to the West Coast, he's from Vegas. I'm very happy out here in the East. So his heart was in D.C., did want to sign with D.C., but being in Philadelphia, it's not, the distance isn't all that far. And again,
do you feel, as a huge Nats fan, are you kind of bitter about this?
I am not bitter, a little disappointed. It's an awful lot of offense to give up. However, to the ownership credit, they took all that money they did not spend on Bryce Harper, and they got the absolute best pitcher on the free agent market this season, left-hander Patrick Corbin. They signed him to a 6-year, $140 million contract, pitched well the other day. And they got young Gomes, all-star catcher from Cleveland. They picked up a plethora of people. So they're right maxed out to the salary cap. They may have a few $1 million to use after the trade deadline, or I should say before the trade deadline. But here's where the major concern is. The Mets are a very underrated team. Their starting pitching staff is as good as Washington's, okay? They probably should have made an effort to get Harper. They're missing a superstar out on the field, but they have a great...
They made no effort to get Harper?
No. Now, they did sign Jacob deGrom to a huge 5-year contract.
Yeah, and one of their other good pitchers.
Noah Syndergaard is great. Steve Matz is very good. Zach Wheeler, they have a good...
I agree. I've been hearing people, the Mets seem like not a bad team.
Now, there's 2 people on Washington that they could not afford to lose. Trey Turner and third baseman Anthony Rendon, who agent is the aforementioned Scott Boras.
Yeah.
I told you during the winter, and I'm sure you'll remember, I don't want to lose Harper, but the guy we cannot afford to lose is Anthony Rendon, because he's always like runner-up for the Golden Glove to Nolan Arenado from Colorado.
Yeah.
And Rendon's a really good hitter, just a really good person, good leader on that team.
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to lock him up before he becomes free agent. At this point, no go. Last night, Duke, Trey Turner, got a walk-off home run the other night. Shortstop's got 2 home runs already. Scored around to get to butt. Pitch comes in, and it just kept he was squared, kept coming in.
Not off his finger.
Right smack in the middle of the finger. And this guy literally would have stole 70 bases. Probably the most exciting player of the National League, if not all of baseball. The kid will be a superstar.
That's painful to just even hear about.
Minimum 6 weeks out, probably closer to 8 weeks.
Wow.
So this just brings us a notch down. So do I have concerns? This National League East is super tough, and the Phillies can hit. I'm still not sure about their pitching staff and the way they won the game. Well, they scored 2 runs in the 8th inning, Duke.
Yeah.
9th inning, their big free agent acquisition, name you'll remember, David Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
Anthony Rendon led the inning off with a base hit.
Yeah.
Listen to this, 3 walks in a row.
Really?
They had a guy come up, a rookie for the Nats, who got sent down after the game because Harry Kendricks got off the DL.
Yeah.
A rookie who's had 1 major league at bat prior. They walked him for the game-winning run. So crazy win, unexpected. So, boy, I need to stop talking. I am out of breath.
You're doing a great job.
Good evening. You're on the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County.
Hey, how we doing, guys?
Hey, how are you?
Caller, do a lot of talking.
Yeah, Nighthawk's been turning in an unbelievable
I'm
effort.
noted for that every now and then, so my wife says.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been quite a turn of events in the major leagues here with the Red Sox starting off slow. The Yankees lost again today.
Really?
They're beat up pretty bad. And you know what I think went on with our Sox, Duke? And it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah.
But our coach here, he gave them very little work during spring training.
Yeah.
Like after the first game, Sale only had six innings pitched during spring, and I see the reasoning behind it, And I just kind of feel in watching some of it that we've got great pitchers, but they're not battle ready yet. They're not as sharp as they really can be.
Yeah.
We're still in a spring training, if you would.
Yeah.
So I think
right.
the first time around we got beat up pretty bad, but we had a good game. We lost 1-0, but we pitched well. So I think this next time around in the rotation, we'll pitch better and we'll get right back into the swing of things. But the ironic thing is, every week I keep saying Tampa Bay. Let's not forget Tampa Bay won 90 games last year. I keep saying that over and over, and they picked right up. Excuse me. They picked right up where they left off last year. They did lose today. They lost 1-0 in 11 innings. But Tampa is playing great baseball. They're in second place. Baltimore is in first place with a 5-1 record. So, realistically, it's kind of nice to see these teams at the top right now. Low market teams, and it's kind of good for baseball. Them showing themselves like, geez, we can win here. Look, I know it's only April, but we are on top right now. So I think it's good for baseball. I'm very certain Red Sox will rebound, and as well as the Yankees. The Yankees are really beat up right now, and it's kind of feel it's our opportunity to take advantage of this and, win 10 out of 13 games or so and try to put an early distance between us and the Yankees.
Now, caller, the way I look at this, and I will be the first to admit, I never give Tampa half the respect that they deserve. I look at the standings and I see Baltimore in first place, and at this point I say, well, that's nice, but so what? So what I'm doing, I just keep my eye on, well, how far are we from the Yankees? We're only a game behind New York.
Yeah.
So, and again, like the caller said, don't forget about Tampa, which I most often do. But the thing about Boston, I preach every year, don't start the season at Fenway. Throw them on the road out the West Coast because you know what? It's really cold in Boston this time of the year. Yeah. But even when you're playing well, you go to the West Coast. All you hope for is to play 500. Yeah. And to play out in the West Coast to start the season, that's a pretty tough task. And of course, with Seattle, that they have the best record in baseball right now. The Sox caught them at a hot time. They're 7-1 right now.
Yeah. For the talk.
The Mariners had the opportunity to, they played in Japan, but they had 2-3 real games under their belt, so they were already more combat ready than the Sox were. And I think the Sox were caught by surprise a little bit, but it'll come together.
For the talk, I was just struck hearing some local sports today. A ton of talk about Chris Sale, who pitched. I actually caught some of the game last night. I woke up, caught some of it. 1-0. I think he pitched 6 innings, gave up a first inning homer, I think. But the big talk was how his fastest fastball was like 89. So there's just huge talk. Wow, is Chris Sale really back?
Yeah, I read today he was clocked out at 91.
I kind of think this is a little overhyped.
Yeah, but let's not forget what we were just talking about now.
I'm not buying. I agree with you.
Before his first game of the season.
Yeah.
Now, he's not even stretched out yet.
Yeah.
And, that speed will come in time when it gets warmer and he's stretched out better. Yeah. We don't have to worry about Chris Sale. Let me tell you about Boston talk shows. Yeah. If Chris Sale loses a game, they'll all sit around and tell you how Boston wasted money spending it on him.
Yeah.
If Chris Sale wins, that same group will sit around and say what a great investment he was. Boston is very hard. These talk shows I find them very negative. People are people, athletes are athletes, but nobody is perfect. A lot of these talk shows, people like to make a name for themselves and love to hear themselves speak, but, it's not easy being an athlete.
Yeah. Good news.
Yeah. Oh, no,
good news is not interesting.
No, I hear you. I'm not going crazy. I was just struck by all the talk about Sale, like a week or two into the season, and it's just dominating. I think he pitched well last night. Hey, what's so bad about not throwing so many fastballs? It might help his pitch count. Hey, doesn't get as many strikeouts. Who cares if he's getting people out?
Yeah. In caller too. Last year, my Nats, Dave Martinez' first year. He didn't work them that hard during spring training, and it showed. It just showed.
I like Dave Martinez.
Well, I'm telling you what. Here's my thought. If the team is floundering June 1st,
he's gone.
I would like to fire him.
Really?
And pick up a guy, you might have heard of him, Joe Girardi.
Oh, is that right?
I would like to get Girardi in.
So does he sound like he's not on the firmest ground?
Well, what I think with him, he was the first lieutenant to Joe Madden. For all those years. Right. He might be a great number 2 guy, but it's tough to be a number 1 guy.
Maybe not number 1.
Yeah. Now, caller, I have to give you some kudos. About a month ago, we were talking about the impending free agencies of the Red Sox nation, and you said that it was more important to get Xander Bogaerts under contract than it was with Mookie. And after I listened to you, I said, you know what? This guy actually makes some sense, because how many shortstops in baseball can put up the numbers like Bogarts, as great as Mookie is, you always can find a good hitting outfielder. And this is the second week in a row I'm going to say the same thing about the Boston Red Sox management.
Good move.
Boy,
good
are
signing.
they fair.
Yeah.
6 years, 120 million.
20 mil.
20 million a year. If you would ask me what a fair contract for Bogarts was, I would say, I think 20 million is fair.
You realize the most surprising thing about this signing, guess who his agent is, don't you?
Scott?
Boras.
Yeah. But
I guess Xander said, hey, Scott, let's not screw around here. I
would
this
rather
team.
have.
If they give me a decent contract, I'm staying here.
Yeah, I'd rather have Bogarts at 20 than Betts at 32.
Boy, I said before on the show, Mookie, here's a check. You write in the amount, but
no,
yeah, I think Mookie's going to be gone. I think Mookie. You get the sense, maybe from what he said too. I think Mookie's looking for absolute top dollar anywhere he can get it.
He will want more than what Harper. I mean, that's the way it works. Yeah. Harper and Machado.
No, Mookie may be the guy they can't keep around.
It's like he may be out in California.
Yeah, it's like when David Price
in
signed.
The National League, maybe with the Angels, or maybe with the Dodgers, maybe with the Padres.
Yeah.
Padres are still itching to spend some money, and a couple years from now, Machado will probably talk him into it. But,
let me tell you something.
I love Bogarts. I mean, he's my kind of player.
Great player.
At him, I see, him getting better and better every year. He looks like a young A-Rod right now. His build, the way he plays the game, and I think the longevity with him will be there.
Key position. No, I think you're right. I think you're right on about Xander.
Yeah. I ask a lot of Red Sox fans, I say, who's your favorite Red Sox? Yeah. And I am shocked how many people tell me Andrew Benintendi.
Is that right,
Ben? He is becoming the face of the franchise.
Benny, of course.
Will be the face of the franchise once Mookie's gone. And I agree, Carl. I think Betts is all but gone.
You're right. In fact, they might even want to think about dealing him at some point.
Because the Red Sox are a victim of their own success. They didn't pick these guys up from other teams.
Can you think of your old Montreal Expos?
Exactly. These are all homegrown players that grew up together, won a world championship together. You can't keep everybody. Yeah. And Benintendi, to me, is a 1950s kind of player. Yeah. He is just so old school.
For the record, I did say about Betts.
Yeah, he reminds me of Mike Greenwell a little bit.
Yeah. I like Greenwell.
Yep.
That's a good
blue collar worker, hard worker every time he goes out into the field.
Yeah.
Do you know Mike Greenwell?
How about Trot Nixon? Talk about Dirt Dog, another blue collar guy.
Oh, I thought he was just overrated and never had a good career. But Mike Greenwell was runner-up MVP one year.
Was he really?
And the guy that won the MVP, and it might have been like Canseco or McGuire, but it turned out to be a PED player. And
really?
Greenwell said, geesh, I was runner-up.
Right,
I've never taken a drug my whole life.
I like Greenwell.
Don't you think I should have been the MVP?
I like Greenwell a lot.
He was a really good player.
I just want to acknowledge, I'm kind of going back on Betts. I absolutely said on this show, hey, Mookie, here's a check. You fill in the amount and years, and I'm backing off that.
Yeah, you just signed Sale. You just signed Bogart.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, Duke.
Yeah.
Yep.
And no offense to Mookie.
There's only so much money you can spend, and we love Mookie, but he put his price out of reach. That money's got to be, like I said before, just distributed around to the other players. Yeah. And you never know. What if Mookie has 2 off years in a row?
Yeah.
What will his value be then?
Yeah. Not to put him down at all. He was the MVP. For the record, he did have a terrible postseason. I don't mean to make too big a point about that. He did nothing postseason, but he had obviously a hell of a year, and he's a hell of a player.
Yeah, these top-notch players, you almost really can't afford. I mean, again, there's not one fan mad at the Nationals management. They all know that they offered him $300 million.
Is that right? So
there's nobody upset at the Lerners.
No.
And I'm sure the Red Sox,
$300 million.
right? I'm sure the Red Sox minimum will give them $300 million. If they say no to that, well, good luck. And the Red Sox have a good farm system. And again, outfielders are a dime a dozen.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they could develop a starting pitcher one of these decades.
Listen, no, we have the same issue. They're so hard to come by, absolutely. And that's why the Red Sox, I don't want to say was forced into signing Sale, but there's so few good pitchers out there that and it's still 80% of the game. Like I said, we can talk about
supply and demand.
Right.
And especially in his case, a guy who likes Boston. I mean, look at David Price. He obviously hardly a good fit, even if he pitches great.
Yeah.
Every day I'm concerned about him saying something stupid, whatever. He doesn't like being in Boston.
Yeah.
Chris Sale is really comfortable there. That's a huge factor.
Let me tell you this. People keep asking me, how do you feel about the Beckham trade?
Yeah.
And I said, I would have taken him for a $10 gift certificate to Subway.
Yeah.
I need to like the people I root for.
Yeah.
This year's version of the Celtics, which we'll get into this year,
Yes.
a lot of these guys I don't care for. I'm having a lot of unfun this year watching them.
Yeah, I bet.
So like David Price, I can't stand the guy. Just can't stand him.
I'm pretty.
And
I'll never forget him for beating up on Dennis
Right, I don't
Eckersley.
mind the guy being arrogant.
Yeah.
If he's like one of the top 3 pitchers of baseball, but he has no right to behave the way he does.
I hear you.
And a guy like Chris Sale.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way with him as well 2 years ago. And I think, as well as a lot of people, he was kind of arrogant, but I think he was more mad at himself. He was frustrated, and that's why I think a lot of things he said came out. As he pitched well last year, you never heard a word from him. So I think he was more or less frustrated there 2 years ago when he was kind of mouthing off a little more than he should have.
Well, I wouldn't quite say he never heard a word. One of his words was, well, media,
last year he was
now.
a complete gentleman.
Yeah. For $31 million a year, though, the least I expect out of him is 18 wins and an ERA of 3.25 or lower.
But again, he did pitch. I give him plenty of credit for his pitching. Second half of last year, postseason, he finally got it together and pitched some pretty good ball. He's just not a guy I like.
Yeah, Nighthawk, you know who your best player is on your team now? Soto.
He played well today. And did you hear the beginning of the show how they won? Did you see
Yeah, I kind of looked on my telephone about a half an hour ago. I saw the bases were loaded.
Yeah. Well, one name I'm going to bring up, and we're in dire need of this guy right now. As I mentioned, we signed Trevor Rosenthal, who's a really good pitcher, didn't pitch last year because of injury. 3 appearances, 0 outs, 4 hits, 3 walks, and 7 runs. Our bullpen, other than Sean Doolittle, has been absolutely horrible. It's got the team ERA or bullpen ERA of over 15. Craig Kimbrell, what is your phone number? The problem with signing Kimbrell aside for the money is you have to give up a couple draft picks for him.
So what do you think? Is this guy out of bait? Maybe next year somebody offers him a million?
I think if the Nationals are serious about making the playoffs,
injuries happen, obviously.
Our bullpen's terrible. It's just plain terrible. And
there's got to be a few more free agents out there that have not been signed that you can pick up.
I'm extremely concerned. I know we're not even through the first week of the season, but what I've seen from our bullpen, it's dreadful.
Well, I'm the one crying bullpen all winter long. The bullpen is so very important.
Caller, you sound sick.
I'm just getting over a cold.
Okay, because I know I'll see you and your son Friday night at the American League Baseball Fantasy Draft at the Elks Club. So expect you and your son each to purchase me a nice Frosty of Michelob Ultra.
Well, consider it done.
Thank you.
Duke, both of our teams took an exit this past weekend in basketball.
Yeah, I'd be the first to say that the Dukies, for the record, should have lost their second-round game against a University of Central Florida team that meant nothing. Did I tell you last week, I think, never call me a basketball expert again. I didn't even know Johnny Dawkins was their coach, the former Duke great, much less that his kid Aubrey was a great player. Yeah. But the Dukies absolutely should have lost to UCF. And then the next game against ACC foe Virginia Tech, that should have gone into OT. Remember the shot that the guy had like a dunk shot to get it into OT. He flubbed it. Duke wins that barely. And Michigan State, toss a coin, but hey, what kind of? But Zion,
they look good. Auburn looked very good as well.
But for the record, Virginia was my
is the
pick.
number 1, but I haven't really seen much of them during the tournament.
Yeah. Virginia was my pick, so I'm hoping the Cavs win, but hey, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Thank you, caller.
Okay. Good night, guys. Have a great show.
Thanks.
See ya.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See ya.
Now, Duke, I don't want to get in a fight with you. We've been 4-decade friendship.
And like I said, friendship, the good words you have for me on other matters, if it wasn't for that, you're beating me up about Duke might actually get to me a little bit. But you do enough other stuff
that night with Kentucky and Duke losing. I read a lot of sports on the internet.
I can understand this.
And everybody was happy, all the headlines. And there was a headline, Kentucky and Duke may need to rethink how they build their basketball program.
The same thing happened to Duke last year. They were Grayson Allen shot off that just barely stayed out.
See, I can't even remember their 3 big freshmen from last year that are now toiling in the NBA.
Okay, yeah, don't even. Mr. Giles, or was that the year?
That was the year Henry. Yeah,
like in pictures. Yeah.
One's with Chicago. See, I mean, they're forgotten.
I told you last year was I got in this year's team. Zion seemed, the talk of the town, and he didn't disappoint, and he seems like a great guy. I wish him well in the future. He should have a very good future. I was into this team. Last year's team, I really wasn't into. No, I understand that point totally. Believe me.
And of course,
I've said it myself.
But
if you're talking Coach K, where I have a problem with you is, you seem to be teaching, hey, Coach K, don't go after the best guy. It just seems a little hard to do. Zion. I think they thought he was bound for Clemson or South Carolina. He's a South Carolina kid.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm sure Duke recruited him, but I think it was Zion who said, "Hey, Coach K, I'm coming to Duke."
I just have a really hard time with the phrase student athlete because I can guarantee you, Duke, if we jump in my vehicle tonight and drive down to Duke University.
You would not see Zion in class tomorrow?
Zion won't be in class. Cam Reddish won't be in class. RJ Barrett won't be in class. And Jones.
I'm not sure you're right about that, but I actually wondered that same thing to a friend of mine today. I'm not sure you're right, but
in the draft,
Trey Jones is
Trey Jones will be late first round. Now in the mock drafts in June, they're fairly accurate. Zion's will be number 1.
Obviously one.
Jay Morant from Murray State, who played Florida State after Vermont played Florida State. Right. Listen to this, if you recall.
Kudos to Vermont.
We lost by 7.
Right. No, they killed those
Murray
guys.
State's got the second best player in the country, and they lost by around 25 points.
I know. Kudos to Vermont. Yeah.
4th pick, I don't remember. Then R.J. Barrett would be the 5th pick. Yeah. Now listen to this, Duke. The New York Knicks have been tanking all year. Their current record right now, worst team in basketball, 15-62 for a winning percentage of .195. Right. So they're going to have the most balls in the lottery machine.
Which ask the Celtics, guarantees you nothing.
Phoenix has 18 wins and Cleveland has 19 wins. Wow. Now, the hope by NBA brass, of course they won't say it.
They'd love to see Zion in New York,
of these players, good players, end up in small markets. Yeah. Okay? Like, remember Kevin Durant picked by Seattle because it's generally the small market teams suck so bad. Yeah. Well, Zion might be the best player in the last 20 years coming out.
So they'd kill for Zion in New York, I assume.
You best believe it. When you think baseball, you think Fenway Park. When you think hockey, you think of the Bell Center. Yeah. To me, when you think NBA basketball,
the Forum in my case, but
you think of Madison Square Garden. Okay, with who's the director? Spike Lee, and all that.
Yeah, always happy to see Spike on courtside.
So, the Knicks, when they say their prayers on their knees next to the bed at night, part of their prayers is they hope they get the winning lottery ball. They get Zion Williamson. They will be trying. They have a lot of cap money to get Kevin Durant. If Kevin Durant grows up and wears a pair, where he decides I want to be a man from now on, instead of winning a championship on the coattails of Stephon Curry, maybe I'm man enough to be the top guy of my team. I would think Kyrie Irving, who I would love to see leave Boston. So you'd get Durant, Irving and Zion Williamson, who I have no problems of him just fitting right in. The guy can do everything.
Did you catch some of him this year, or did you catch much of Zion?
I watched about 45 seconds, and my stomach was turning. I can't watch big time college basketball because they're a joke.
Okay.
And again,
but I'm just saying he didn't disappoint.
And
he's pretty good.
Do you know what? I don't want to sound like I'm smarty pants here or being braggadocious, but the sports world usually catches up to my thought process.
Yeah.
It may take them 5 years.
As in relief pitchers starting games?
Well, let me give you an example. I'll do that real quickly. You had Aaron Nola pitching today for the Phils, third in Cy Young.
No, sorry.
Oh my God, dude! Oh, that's horrible.
I thought I killed that. That's the first time I've ever screwed up like that.
The score, okay, Nola, one of the great pitchers of the National League. After one inning today, Washington 3, Philadelphia 2. Okay, now I'm thinking to myself, if these guys went with the opener, and these guys can come in, throw fastballs at 98 miles an hour and not have to like coast, I don't care if you're Max Scherzer. How many complete games does Max Scherzer get a season? 2, 3? How many complete games does Chris Sale get? 2, 3?
Yeah.
At most.
At most.
Everybody should have an opener, period. But anyway, they caught up to my thinking. Tampa's doing that, and I told you this almost 10 years ago. Now, I've been squalling on the college big-time basketball. Finally, they ruled within the last half year, you no longer have to do 1 year in college because people like me are sick and tired of seeing these part-time students that I'm sure study really hard. They're gone. All these guys are gone. They're not at school anymore.
Not sure how much is going to change. I mean, because if you're a top-notch player, why not go to Duke for a year? Go to catch a few classes and be under Coach K. Why would that be a bad thing to do?
Because I think what will happen is this G League may be offering more money for these guys. I think, okay, I'm not a big college basketball. I'm a mid-major guy. I love University of Vermont.
Yeah.
Now, when we had Nick Melmley on here, the Red, he said, I've been watching Zion Williamson on YouTube for the last 3 years since he was a sophomore. Okay, he never would have went to Duke University. As I said, he's the best talent to come out of college in 20 years. There are going to be guys like that are capable of not going to college. Now, as you know, college basketball ratings today versus the zenith of basketball, I call the Duke period when they had Leitner.
Sure, Bobby Hurley,
Grant Hill, because most of the country hated Duke. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing's changed either.
Nothing's wrong with that. Because every year you had these guys coming back, and your hatred for Christian Leitner build exponentially every season. And the ratings were sky high. NCAA they're half today what they used to be. It's not a major event anymore.
No,
because
I think
March
Madness is still a pretty big time event.
Like it's not that big anymore. If
not that big? I don't think that's
ratings
accurate.
are half what they used to be. Half. You go back and look at the Duke ratings back in the what year were we talking? Late 80s?
The buzz that March Madness gets, Hockey, you have people who care nothing about basketball, and for 3 weeks, they're paying a lot of attention.
Mr. Nielsen,
I still think it's a very big event.
To me, tells me it all. If you get half the people watching today versus 20 years ago, because again, you're a college expert, you're a Duke expert, you're a graduate of Duke. If I asked you, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, who are the 3 super freshmen on the team last year? I can't remember these guys. They're all top 10 picks last year. One ended up with Chicago, one out in California with Sacramento, I think. I don't know. It's just not good for college basketball. College basketball knew it.
Wendell Carter.
Thank you. Wendell Carter went to Chicago.
I'm trying to think of the big center. I'm spacing out on him.
Yeah. Well, Harry Giles.
Like I said, was he the year before?
2 years ago, and he was the #1 guy before the season.
Justice Winslow was a few years ago.
He's been a flop with Miami.
I don't think flop.
A flop.
I think that's way too strong.
Oh, no, he's been a flop, trust me.
And that's doesn't he average like 12 points a game or something? That's a flop?
For a top 10 pick, it's a flop.
I'd say that's a little strong.
Danny Ainge wanted Winslow so much. He offered every draft pick.
All right.
for Miami's pick. He wanted Winslow because he can play some defense. So a lot of these guys that leave early, and I don't have time right now to research it, but they don't turn out to be that good of pros. They're marginal players. They're good enough to hang around.
Yeah.
But a lot of these top 10 picks, when you draft them at age 19, you don't know what type of player you're really getting. They don't know how to play defense, and I'm not blaming them because going through the high school ranks, their job was to score 35 points a game.
Yeah.
And when they, like last year, Duke, Krzyzewski admitted it. We had to play zone defense because our guys could not play man-to-man.
They played some
this year they were better,
fairly decent
a better
defense
defensively team. And Mike Krzyzewski, unarguably, or arguably, whatever the word is, might be the best coach in college basketball. These guys can learn a thing or two. And myself as a sports fan, I like to see a Zion Williamson as a freshman. I like to see the progression. Zion. I like to see him progress to a sophomore, a junior, a senior. Can you imagine how great Williamson would be after 4 years of tutelage from under Krzyzewski? Then you'd really know these players. And I'm telling you, Duke, a lot of these guys that come in, and I watch NBA basketball, that come in, they don't pan out.
Yeah.
They don't pan out. And again, it's just, I don't blame these kids. You're $19 million. Here's $50 million.
No, sure. Don't blame don't blame the kids.
I'm not blaming them, but the system is broken right now. And I know you don't read the internet as much as I do when it comes to sports. And I know a lot of it's kind of fake news.
I read my papers.
Right, you read your newspaper. But there was just a ton of happiness galore on the internet about Duke falling, and Kentucky.
You don't have to tell me. I mean, obviously, I'm well aware of that.
Yeah, because there was a solitude of hatred towards Calipari and Krzyzewski in the computer world.
Well, the better people, again, Calipari's hardly, he's had, but it's funny you mentioned the coaches. The Final Four, Virginia against Auburn, Michigan State against Texas Tech. Auburn coached by Bruce Pearl. Does he mean anything to you?
Very dirty.
Talk about
Tennessee, really. I think, right?
Tennessee, all kinds of issues.
Oh, yeah.
Not to mention Auburn. Chuck Person, I think, was his assistant coach. This was a huge scandal that broke last year.
Yep.
I guess Pearl obviously survived. They fired Person and some other assistants. And then you've got Houston, which had a pretty good run. And Kelvin Sampson, that name ring a bell?
That does not ring a bell.
This guy had all kinds of dirt some years ago.
Yep.
But Houston did well. Guess what? I think they just gave him another 3 years or something.
Oh, I agree with you. And did I see Calipari's getting an extension on his contract? I don't know.
Nothing would surprise me less.
Yeah. But there are people out there that lay people that don't follow it, but they read and they say this is not a clean sport right now.
Sir Charles Barkley obviously was pretty understandably happy. He's an Auburn guy, of course.
Yeah. And I will give you credit too, as far as Virginia. You told me early.
That was my pick.
You told me early
November,
the start of the basketball season, that you said watch out for Virginia. Of course, they were the infamous team that got knocked off by UMBC last year.
The first and only number 1 seed to be beaten by a number 16 seed.
So to say
and Virginia's glad. This is a team you should like because. These are players who tend to hang around.
Yeah, and I will be honest with you.
I wish Virginia well, but it's a toss-up.
The only NCAA basketball I watched was the Vermont game. Have not watched 1 second, and quite frankly, I usually will watch the final just because it's fun. I'm not even sure. Maybe if Virginia makes it, I'll be curious about that team, but I just don't care.
And Michigan State too has, I think, a veteran team. In fact, one of their key guys, I think, is a fifth-year senior or whatever. So no, I
like Tom Izzo.
I don't know. Of course, he got a lot of grief during one of their earlier games. I didn't see it. I never saw the film, but I guess he was right in the face of one of his players. Okay. But I still hear talk about it, that he definitely went over the line on that. That said, seems like a fairly decent guy. Yeah. I mean, they've had a great program. They were due to be due. Coach K's beaten them I think, maybe had an 11-2 record against them in postseason games. But even that game, these games were incredibly close. If you like close games, you would have been loving this March Madness.
Now, how heartbroken were you the other night?
No, it wasn't.
Was it painful?
It's painful just to watch. These games are so close, it's painful. What Duke did, they were driving me crazy. I guess understandably, it seems like at least every other possession, Trey Jones or whoever is just trying to get the ball inside to Zion. They were so sloppy. 1 out of 3 times they turned it over. They didn't get it inside. They kept doing that.
Yeah.
It was painful. But again, like I said, they should have lost to Johnny Dawkins. UCF played out of their minds. They absolutely didn't deserve to win that game. So given that feeling, how bad can I feel?
Now, where did Dawkins coach before? That's not his first gig, is it?
Stanford. He had a pretty good run at Stanford. It kind of, went downhill, but he had at least one NCAA tourney there.
Saturday night at 6:09, number 1 Virginia
against
number
Auburn.
5 Auburn. I'm guessing the spread on that might be half dozen points.
Boy, I'd say that's probably not even that many. 3. No.
Oh, you think?
3, or I'd guess 3 or 4, not more than 5. I can probably come
Michigan
up with that.
State against Texas Tech at 8:49.
I guess again, not more than 5-point spread
now,
for either.
Texas Tech, refresh my memory. Didn't
Give
Bobby
you
Knight?
Lubbock, Texas.
Didn't Bobby Knight?
That's where Bobby ended up
after he got fired at
Indiana finally threw it.
And I think his
son
kid
coached
took
there
over
too.
for him.
Hawk, I'm looking for those lines. I'd be surprised if either was more than 5. Well, I'm pretty close to right. No, we were kind of between. Virginia 5.5 over Auburn.
I said 6.
Okay, and I said maybe 5. Michigan State 2.5 over Texas.
I would have said 3.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, that is where Bobby Knight ended up. Again, these guys mean nothing to me, but again, first time in the Final Four for either Texas Tech or Auburn.
Yeah. And speaking of Final Four, next weekend, and I know nobody follows this. Nobody. Next weekend, and I can't even remember where they're playing. The Final Four, hockey.
In fact, I did write down. They're playing Buffalo. UMass Amherst against, and I think Amherst, I guess you should throw in Amherst. UMass Amherst in Denver, and Providence, Minnesota, Duluth.
Now,
Buffalo, I think. Good place for the Frozen
Amherst, I'm telling you, Duke.
You saw these guys, right?
But out of nowhere, they bring in a new coach, throw some money in the program, a lot of recruiting. This team was so bad for so many years that if I was going to skip a game at Gutterson, I would try to miss the Amherst game.
Really?
They've been bottom feeders, kind of like hanging out with Merrimack for years and years.
That's impressive.
And, Denver's usually a good team. Providence, you haven't heard much of them for years against Minnesota Duluth. So I may give that a watch. But ice hockey.
Yeah, I might catch that. I caught actually one of the games a little bit. I forget, maybe the Harvard Clarkson. I came across one of the games that I watched a little bit.
Yeah. So now Boston, the Patriots, just kind of strange this past week. Greg Schiano.
Yeah, that was kind of strange.
Where did he coach? College.
Wasn't he Ohio State? Wasn't he like a very big time assistant to?
But he was a head
Urban
coach somewhere, and I thought he got a head coaching job.
He looked like he was going to get the job at Tennessee, and the folks freaked out because, or was he hooked up in Penn's? It was kind of guilt by association, whatever, some dirty program, and he was an assistant there.
Okay.
And I think Tennessee was prepared to hire him, and I think the fans went crazy just because of a guilt by association thing. I'm not sure he had any blood on his hands, but that was kind of strange.
But he was expected, they just didn't officially announce it to be the defensive coordinator of the Patriots.
He just said need to spend more time
with his family.
Faith and family.
Yeah.
I never saw, and I don't think anybody came up, got into that too much.
So
I don't know what to tell you.
Word has it that Belichick may take on the task of being the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And the saving grace for them, they have kind of an experienced offensive coordinator and head coach in waiting, Josh McDaniel.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking of the offensive line coach who I love, Dante Scarnecchia. Yeah, they got McDaniels there.
So
they seem to.
Yeah. All I can say is, as much as I would love to sit here and question the way Patriots do things, I'd sound like a complete idiot there. But of course, Michael Bennett signed a 2-year contract.
I guess they're just trying to. They give him more money. It seems
2
like
years.
They just changed that. Decent bucks.
Yeah. So he's 33 years old, and he's still highly productive. I don't like the guy at all personally, because he was a big-time radical in Seattle with the protests of the flag, etc. But he quietly went to Philadelphia last year.
I don't think he'll be making a ton of noise in Foxborough.
No, I'm sure Mr. Brady and company.
You still hear a lot of quarterback talk. I'm hearing Josh Rosen's name thrown around a lot with the Pats.
Okay, so the NFL draft is in a couple weeks, and starts Thursday. What's the date for? So about 3 weeks from tomorrow night is the draft. So we're getting there. So everybody assumed the Giants would take a quarterback, thinking they'd get Dwayne Haskins out of Ohio State. I knew all along it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Their defense is horrible, and I said last week, Rashawn Gary out of Michigan, Duke, or Montez Sweat out of Mississippi State. Giants have also the 17th pick. Now, we need a right tackle. There'll be a very good right tackle available in that slot. Or if they want Daniel Jones from Duke, if you want a quarterback, don't say, well, he's not really valued there. If you want the guy, you just take him. He could be a guy. If Missouri quarterback Drew Lock is available, I expect him to go number 10 to Denver. I like Lock better than I do Jones. Now, the second round pick, 37th overall, I've got Giants taking Josh Rosen in the trade and maybe flipping a third or a fourth round pick to get him. Our obstacle might be your New England Patriots because the Pats have the 32nd pick. Would you rather have the 32nd pick or the 37th pick? Of course you want the 32nd pick, the last pick of the first round. So the Pats might sneak in and take Rosen. I'm not 100% sure that Arizona is going to take Kyler Murray at the number 1 pick, but I'm pretty darn sure that they will and jettison off Rosen. But I have the same feeling towards Brady as I do Manning, is don't worry about the quarterback position until they drop dead or retire. Then you worry about them. Why pick up Rosen, the Patriots? Because Tom Brady says he wants to play 3 more years. And quite frankly, just say he fades a little bit where he's not, I was going to say top 3. I'm a liar. He's still the best quarterback in football, okay? Now, the kid from Kansas City is pretty exciting, but until he puts some rings on his finger, Mr. Brady is the GOAT, greatest of all time. So just say Brady slips a little bit. Maybe he's the 10th or 12th best quarterback. Well, there's 32 teams in the league. That means he's better than 20 other teams. So just,
So you can picture him playing 3 more years.
Absolutely, because when he got married, I said to myself, there goes Brady. He's got a gorgeous wife. He's going to start a family. He's going to lose all his focus football. On the contrary, Robert, he loves football. He loves winning, and he knows he's a living legend. And he really is. And I know there's a lot of Patriot haters throughout the country. Ask Robert Kraft.
Do you sympathize with me at all, Hawk, being a Dookie and a Patriots guy?
For the Patriots?
I just mean with the legion of Duke and Patriot haters out there. Are you sympathetic at all to me?
No, because I think Duke is a disgrace. Patriots are just a model franchise of all sports. Okay, the Patriots are how do they do it? You don't win like this in the salary cap age. It's impossible, okay? But the brilliance of that team, they know what players to keep. Now, the Patriots are in dire need of a tight end. I mentioned to you Noah Fant.
From Iowa?
From Iowa. They have the 2 top tight ends. Unreal. I can't even fathom that Iowa has the 2 best tight ends in football.
That's wild.
Hawkinson, the other guy? He's more of the old school. He can block. Where Fant is more of a receiver type tight end. That's exactly what Brady wants.
And of course, Gronk was a guy who was maybe even a better blocker than receiver. And he was a great receiver.
Now, I think the Patriots, if they want a tight end between one of those 2 guys,
they're going to have to move.
I can see him to get Fant. They would have to move up to around 20 to get him. Now, back when I started all my mocking, I had him. Don't worry, he'll he'll fall right into a Patriots lap at 32.
Really?
Well, he impressed at the combine. He's a super, super good athlete. When you go to the combine, it's more commonly known as the underwear Olympics because they're running around in shorts and T-shirts. And I don't know how people can figure out how good of a player they are running around in their shorts. But people do take the Indianapolis Combine seriously.
So again, you're telling me as a Patriot guy, don't give a thought to quarterback. They better hope Brady stays healthy.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure Brian Hoyer's going to do.
Oh, I agree with you.
Whoever it was,
and that's
Brady
my whole
down.
point. What team has a quarterback that he breaks his leg in week 3, and you can look at me and give me the Duke guarantee that this backup will lead us into the playoffs.
I guess I would have said the Eagles when they still had Nick Foles.
There you go. The starting quarterback now, the Jacksonville Jags. So
none of you're telling me none of the backups are worth much.
When your quarterback breaks
when
their
half
leg,
of the regular ones maybe aren't worth that much.
Exactly.
Obviously the backups are.
Tom Brady breaks his leg. Say la vie. Okay. And then say he retires the next season, you start all over, you have a crappy record, you get a top 10 pick, and you draft yourself a quarterback. Sometimes you have to take a step back to take 2 steps.
The Patriots fans have had it obviously so good for so long. Might be a little tough for them, but at some point it'll probably happen.
And the best example I can give you are the Philadelphia 76ers. They tanked for years to get the draft picks. All of a sudden, they're one of the
Very
top
good
teams.
Team. Joel Embiid. Actually, my man JJ's a pretty good ball player.
Smart player. He's got such a high basketball IQ.
No, that's a good
So
team.
I wouldn't worry about pay. Now, and again, the problem with Rosen, I believe he's got 3 years left on his rookie on his rookie contract
after
playing. Right, and that's the time.
Maybe that's when he would finally play.
And whether he'd want to stick in Boston, is a huge question mark. So. I
think playing under Brady might, but again, the guy obviously wants to play.
Now, if the Giants were going to get a quarterback, I don't want to give up a first-round pick to get one. I would gladly give up the 32nd to get Rosen, but at this point, I do not want to get a quarterback this year because I'm ready to settle. Instead of me gabbing, one question: National League Eastern Division last year. What team had the most points?
I'm sorry, we're talking
National League East, in the National Conference last year. What team scored the most points?
Oh, scored the most points?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The New York Giants.
Is it? Did they all?
Yeah, more than Dallas, more than Philadelphia, more than Washington. Now, what team gave up the most points?
New York Giants.
There you go. We have serious problems on the other side of the ball. We already know how great Saquon Barkley is. We've picked up Kevin Zeitler, the best passing, protecting right guard in football from Cleveland in the OBJ trade. We draft a right tackle. There'll be a very good one available at that 17th position. That offense will be where I won't be sitting here week after week. Go ahead, try playing quarterback behind the New York Giants line. Johnny Unitas, Tom Brady couldn't play behind that line, but they're solidifying that line. So my feeling is screw the quarterback position. Wait until Manning drops dead, and then we'll start worrying about it.
So Celtics, boy, Kyrie. It seems like there's a new team every day. Now I'm hearing maybe the Nets, but yeah, I'm kind of losing it a bit with Kyrie. I think.
He has zero leadership quality, and that's.
Although sometimes I wonder if I'm being too hard on him.
No, you're not. You're not.
I mean, he's a very good player.
Duke,
though,
he's a great player, and I can tell you, he might be the best finisher I've ever seen ever in my life.
But you've had it with Kyrie.
He's got to do more than score 25 points. Okay, he's got to lead that team.
But you're not blaming just Kyrie on this.
I'm blaming
team
mostly
being such
to
a
Kyrie.
Mess,
I am blaming mostly
Kyrie.
on Kyrie. Absolutely, I am, and I'm not the only person. What
about Brad? What about Brad Stevens? Seemed to be Teflon. I mean, nobody had anything but high praise for this guy. Is he catching a little bit of this?
No, I think he has a troubled player on the team with Irving. Now, isn't it funny when Irving doesn't
play? I love Kyrie
play,
telling him, "Hey, coach, Why'd you defend that guy that way? What are you doing? You know,
they have a better winning percentage when Irving doesn't play, and
not a lot of games, but yeah, I hear you.
And it bothers me too. Now he takes nights off. He decides now at the end of the season, I'm going to take a night off.
Wouldn't you
You're
think,
25 years old.
Right.
You don't take time off.
And beyond that, wouldn't you think nailing down, which they haven't done yet, nailing down home court, advantage in the first series anyway?
Here's the situation right now. We're tied with the Indiana Pacers, 46 and 32 each. Okay,
and
we got a
Boston
game coming up with Indiana.
And Boston,
I think we do have the tiebreaker.
I think 2-1. I think.
But yeah, I would
Indiana.
say getting home court. And Brian Scalabrine said, starting off being the away team first round and trying to make it in the finals, being the away team 3 rounds in a row, says that doesn't happen.
I agree.
He says it's imperative that we get home court advantage.
So I agree with you about Kyrie. Hey, the most important thing is to get nailed down home court.
Yeah, and Gordon Hayward.
An occasional big game.
Right, average at best. Now, as David Handy said, he went through an ankle injury, even though David never played in the NBA, nor college for that matter. Says it takes time. Well, they said the very same thing 2 nights ago during the Celtic broadcast, that Paul George had the very same type broken ankle that Hayward had. Took him 2 years to get back to his all-star form.
Maybe cut Gordon a little slack then. But the team, geez, I'm stunned. Even though I was the one here who said, don't assume they're in the finals next year. Assume nothing, but still. I thought this was going to be a very good team. Right. But that's not to say I predicted they would be a mess or anything. But I did say, don't never assume anything.
I did. I predicted.
But I don't mean to give myself too much credit because I never saw.
Now
this
you know
coming.
the best player in the Celtics, and I say this with a serious face.
As in this year, the best player in this.
Best player on the team.
Who's had the best year?
If I had to take one player off the team right now,
Mr. Morris, maybe.
Marcus Smart.
Oh, Marcus Smart.
He is one of the best all-around players.
He kills
is
himself
Dr.
every
Defense.
Second. He gets pretty stupid at times.
Oh, he does. But there is not a player in the NBA that works any harder than him.
Agree.
He is a leader. He is the leader of the Celtics. It's not Kyrie Irving, because Kyrie Irving cares about one person. That's himself.
So your prediction is Kyrie gone after the season? I mean,
that I cannot say. I'm not going to bet.
You're not going to tell me the Celtics aren't going to try to keep him.
But I will tell you this: if they get knocked out the first round, I can see Irving. Going, why keep him if you can't win a playoff series with this guy? And I'll take that $30 million plus a year, and I'll get another guy to come in.
Do you give Terry Rozier the big buckos?
He hasn't played well overall.
Isaiah Thomas said, "Will the Brinks truck roll up for Terry Rozier if Kyrie's gone?"
I don't think he's played as well this year as he did last year.
Of course, one of the reasons he's coming off the bench a lot.
Yes, last year, if you recall, there were a ton of injuries on the Celtics. So all these kids, like all of a sudden, Jason Tatum was playing 34 minutes a game, and he was the shooter of the team. He didn't feel like, well, I got to get the ball over to Kyrie. And he was great. Rozier was great.
So for Jason, do you see this as kind of a sideways year for him? How would you describe Tatum's year?
Somewhat erratic, but you still see the talent there. Now, you got to
remember, 17
he's
points.
20 years old. Just remember, 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, he was a high school player of the year in the country. So I give these guys.
From your point of view, Hawk, I trust you. Forget that he went to Duke.
He went to Duke. He was
Duke.
Right. Right. He chose the one and done route with Duke. It's a great school to go to if you don't want to hang around and have a quick route. Well, John Calipari said to his recruits, if you want to get to the NBA, there's not a better place to go than to Lexington, Kentucky. Because I will get you to the NBA. It's not like I will get you a degree in biology or...
Right. I bet Coach K does not use those words, but obviously Duke's in about the same situation.
Yeah. But the Celtics have been a disappointment, and I said earlier in the show, they've been unfun
6 minutes
to watch, okay? And I marvel at the
and you said you're literally watching every minute.
game. They're playing tonight.
I'll usually catch some of their games, but geez, blown lead. I mean, they get these big leads. Some of these games have been very painful.
And
to
the other
watch.
guy that's
just
played
Miami the other night. That wasn't.
Oh, absolutely.
22-point lead, and they almost threw that away.
Aaron Baines is played really well. He's one of the best defending centers in basketball. Tatum I'm okay with. Again, he's only 20 years of age, but it's been a huge disappointment. And I admit I was stupid with you back last fall when I said, Duke, just don't.
I'm sure you had plenty. I'm sure you had plenty of company.
Don't worry about it because Hayward will be healthy and he'll start putting up 20 some odd points a game.
No, it's been a weird.
And
year.
Marcus Maurice. He was great the first half, not very good. He won't be on the team next year. He's gone.
But Kyrie, that'll be very interesting. And who knows about Kyrie?
Yeah.
Good luck. I mean,
he's a diva, and that's probably what I should have said 5 minutes ago. He's the type of guy I think would rather score 30 points than get the win.
Really?
He's got zero leadership skills. And again, Larry Bird, to me, was the most consummate leader I ever remember in basketball. Now, you're older than me. You'll say Bill Russell was the same way, and I certainly won't argue that.
I'm not sure how much it was a best team player maybe ever. I'm not sure how much of a leader and stuff, but great man.
On Larry Bird?
No, I'm talking about Bill Russell. Was just a great team player.
He was a great team.
Well, I guess you could say a great leader.
And I remember Larry Bird saying, too, back in his heyday, when a big man runs down the court, you give him the ball because you want the big man running all the time. And that Celtic team, and you know what's so sad, Duke? We watched a fair amount of the Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, the Chief era.
Bill Walton
that one year.
That 1 year he loved it.
But we didn't have cable back then.
So not a lot of
we
games.
could not watch every single game. And
of course, growing up in the Boston area, you can be sure I listened, hardly every game, but I listened to a lot of games with old friend Johnny Most.
Yeah. So, and too, Duke, when I think of greatness, I know Wayne Gretzky holds all the scoring records, but there was
Bobby Orr's your guy, right?
Right, Bobby. There you go. Bobby Orr was another guy. He just made the players around him that much better, unselfish. It was never me. And I still, to this day, I cringe about Bobby Orr playing on one leg, and I consider the greatest player of all time. He would have been God.
And especially with him leaving Boston, because that was offering Alan Eagleson, right?
Yeah.
When he didn't tell, Boston, in fact, I think offered him at least as good a deal. And the Eagles said, oh, no, these guys are giving, was it Chicago that he went to?
Yeah, he went to the Hawks for 1 year. And let me tell me about a guy that looked out of place in the Blackhawk jersey, even though
I can't even picture him in a Blackhawk jersey.
It's considered like the best jersey in all the sports.
Yeah, that's Leonard's team, of course.
So, but, the Giants this past year, Duke, would they win 5 games? I'm trying to remember.
As in your
New York Football Giants.
You're asking me.
Yeah, but
is that all they want?
But you know what? I knew we had a bad team, so I can watch it, and this is what we got.
Especially if you see some hope for the future.
Management did poor drafting, the fired general manager, and this is the fruits of our labor. We don't have any fruits in our basket. So I can sit there every Sunday, watch the game, say we suck, but we're paying the price. Celtics, unanimous Eastern Conference champs. Once LeBron moved out west, there was nobody that was going to contend. Now, certainly a lot of respect for Toronto.
Philadelphia.
Right, Toronto's got
people knew Philadelphia and Toronto.
The Sixers have some young studs, and Toronto,
oversimplified
being
anyway.
a Canadian team, there's not much publicity.
And talk about Indiana getting zero respect.
And Indiana is a much better team, and I can't pronounce their star player went down with a knee injury. Just a great player about a month ago. And I'm telling you right now, Indianapolis would be fighting for one of the top spots right now. They've been a sub 500 team.
So what do you think? If the Celtics manage to get home court advantage against Indiana, they probably win at least one series. And would you just say just one series?
Well, it just depends on who we play. Now, for whatever reason, we've had good luck with the Sixers. during the last.
Well, they did win
seasons.
the last game, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so Duke, listen, have a great time at the Masters.
Yeah, thanks.
I won't see you until May 15th because once you get back from vacation, I go on vacation.
Right, even
weeks.
though the Nighthawk gets me going a little bit about Duke gets me a little upset about Duke, that's not why you won't see us together for a month and a half.
Yeah, exactly. So that will conclude this edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County. For our studio director, Zach, my good pal, the Duke, I'm going to use one of my new favorite sayings again. Remember, folks, a library card is free, but knowledge is, I can't remember, is priceless. Jeez, okay. Library card's free, knowledge is priceless. We'll see you guys next week. Ciao.
See ya.